explore some more perspectives on this. Join us again. Focus on state of the nation, focusing on crude oil. Of course, you know about pipeline vandalism, how the country is crying out for help from the international community. And by the way, Senator, I mean, if you look at this scenario, some oil companies threatening to shut down, and here we are, look, we need international help. Have we put our records or put our house in order first? Because if international help comes, what are they going to depend on? Where will they latch onto? Because the other day, Senator Bukola Saraki talked about the challenge we have with our environmental agencies. In Austria, having problems, they don't even have helicopters to get to a location, detect oil spill and vandalism. So challenges are still huge. How do we approach all this?
I think this is why I'm saying that we should convert what appears to be a challenge now to a positive purpose by dialoguing, by seeking how do we get these people involved in the legal process of getting crude allocated to them. They pay for it, they refine, and we have that advantage. Because as of today, you may not be able to attract most investors in the drilling industry into Nigeria. Because I heard, I think some days ago, that one of the oil majors has threatened to shut down operations in one of the states in the Niger Delta because of the challenge of the operations of theft of crude oil.
Yeah.
And I believe that this is dangerous for Nigeria because as of today, Nigeria is not the only country in West Africa and not the only country in West Africa that there is crude oil to exploit. That is in Ghana and most other countries. And the countries that have oil and have security challenges, those security challenges are being addressed. And those countries are now becoming safer for the investors to go in and operate.
Do you think this is something that the Senate can actually champion?
Well, it's something we may champion, but like I said, I'm expressing a very personal opinion, and I'll express this opinion. I've been attacked by many.
You've not been able to sell it to your colleagues?
Well, I haven't started marketing it. Yes, but I think it's opinion that we will. I have mentioned it twice or thrice on the floor of the Senate in course of a debate on a matter akin to it. And I think it hasn't been popular. That is why I started with an apology. And I want to say that I am from this area. I know the challenges there are. Even a lot of people from this area don't agree with me, but they're not also seeing the real danger that is coming. And think that to the extent that the thing is expanding and is becoming a matter that you may need, quote unquote, amnesty. That is amnesty for the illegal refineries, but not for the operators.
Isn't it
not the real
kind?
Not the other amnesty. Yeah. It's amnesty that, look, forgive these refineries, convert it to a positive use.
But isn't that what it is? Amnesty of some sort.
That is what I'm advocating. That is, allow them to operate, regulate their operations, allocate crude for money to them, regulate how the environmental matters, get them allocated land, know their location, know the faces of the people behind it. Let it be companies that you can say, these are the owners of this companies.
Okay.
I mean, just set a process. If you had given licenses and people are not using the licenses to bring in refineries, then you have to find a way of those who say, I have capacity, and allow them operate.
Well, even before they are granted that, because Festus here says, these people steal crude.
Yes.
Because it's free. And so when they get this and refine it in their places, that's the profit, because they pay nothing to get it. So even if they're licensed, won't they still come back to the question of subsidy or no subsidy? And
allow them to operate first, because I heard one of the papers I read yesterday also said that the operators, one of the operators says, look, I sell petrol at 48 naira per liter to, I read the paper yesterday. He said, I sell petrol at 48 naira per liter. Meanwhile, the government subsidized price is 97 naira per liter.
But we don't know the quality or the standard of the one he sells at.
Yes, we can, but then this is why all the regulatory agencies are there. If we put all the regulatory agencies at work to do their own bit and certify it before a product is allowed to get into the market, you know, you'll be able to.
Isn't this another kind of, sorry Mark, isn't this another kind of amnesty given to maybe ex-militants? Because we seem helpless as a nation. If we're to buy your own suggestion and idea, it looks to me that we're just trying to buck down on this particular issue, that we really can't fight this individual. Don't forget that, well, we've also seen in the papers that some of the ex-militants were given security jobs to do. So it means perhaps these are the people we can't even confront. So we're saying, well, it's business as usual. Let's just put a tag to it and make it illegal, make it legal instead of saying it's an illegal refinery.
I'm not advocating.
Perhaps we should identify those behind it.
I'm not advocating the formalization or legalization of this process because of helplessness. No. I'm saying because definitely and ultimately we need it. Now, if you go to the Biafran War years, how did the Biafran government survive with international blockade? They were having their own refineries as early as 68, 69, 70. There were refineries that were producing and refining for the Biafran state, for the Biafran team at that time. I wouldn't call them state, I wouldn't call them nation, I wouldn't call them any other name. For the Biafran team at that time, they were having it. How were they producing their arms? They were producing and using what they call Ubuniwe and all those other things at that time.
So that technology is there.
That technology is there.
Okay,
and that technology had been there.
There seem to be two different things here.
Yes.
Yes, you say that technology is there, which we should look inwards and see how we can develop
it.
But on the other hand, some people are saying, look, this seem to exist because they steal crude. If they don't steal crude,
no, I don't
do they
agree.
have illegal refineries?
They can have illegal refineries and they can do well if you allocate the crude to them and refine the process. There are so many agencies in Nigeria that are to do the what I would call the certification, the standardization process. You allow them, you let it go through all that, you certify it before it can start. You do a test run. We should get to it. We shouldn't run away from it.
But Senator, how do we deal with the theft part of it? I mean,
well, you
admit that these people, some of them do not even build the refineries themselves.
Yes.
That they're actually sponsored by some people
yes.
who want our crude oil through illegal means.
Yes.
They help them through that and get refineries in turn.
Yes.
So how do we deal with that part that has infringed on, on our
laws?
Exactly.
Well, that is why we set up the Joint Task Force. That is, we combined all the teams, the security combined teams there. That is how to deal with it. But what I'm preferring is an alternative to where we are today. One of the things that could be a solution instead of just pursuing them. Because we've pursued them for a long time, it doesn't seem to work. And of course, you send persons who are not familiar with the terrain to go after people who are familiar with the terrain. And it's sometimes very costly. sometimes very costly.
No,
All
but
in terms
that-
of
that-
lives
that's
and
not
so
the-
on.
That's not the, I mean, here and now, assuming we're able to identify, or where do you even know them?